So there's been loads of people heading down from Pembs to see the Queen lying in state, and two very good friends of ours, actually, Cath and Chloe Scourfield, join us here on the show now. I think due to the amount of people in London, signal and Wi-Fi is a little bit ropey. So although we might not be able to see them great, you can hear them fine, which is great for radio. So Cath and Chloe, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks for joining us here on the show.
Hi. So it's a pleasure to be with you on this lovely morning, afternoon, should I say?
Cath, we also see you on the beat around the county, and a well-known resident from Johnston. Why did you want to head down to London to mark your respects?
Well, I mean, obviously, we were supposed to have been coming into London anyway, coincidentally, on the 14th and 15th. We were supposed to have been going to the National Television Awards last night in Wembley. And obviously we heard the sad news of the Queen's passing. And obviously the plan was that me and Chloe were going to be in London anyway. And the National Television Awards understandably got cancelled. So what an amazing opportunity we had then, being in London anyway, to go and queue to watch our Queen lying in state. We wanted to pass on our respects, and just an amazing opportunity to be able to see her, once in a lifetime opportunity, and to be a massive part of history. And we're so honoured and privileged to have been able to do that. It was extremely emotional. Yeah,
I could imagine.
Yeah.
Chloe, you were in the queue for 8 hours. How did you pass the time?
We joined the queue near to Tower Bridge, coincidentally, on Queen Elizabeth Street. And then you get bans as you go down the queue so that you are able to leave the queue if need be. But we met a great bunch of people in the queue, people who'd flown over from Guernsey, all over the UK, that had come to pay their respects as well. So that helped pass the time. And obviously, as we were walking through, you go past a lot of the London sites as well. So it was a great day overall, apart from the obvious sad ending when we did eventually get to the coffin.
Yeah, I mean, that does seem the sort of main consensus, that, there does seem to be some incredible camaraderie and lots of friendships being formed in that queue. And then, of course, you are there, in that somber state then, really, seeing Her Majesty.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as soon as we got in the queue, we immediately made friends with two ladies. One of them had said she'd flown in from Guernsey, and the other one lived nearby London in Chessington, and they were both on their own in the queue, and we immediately made friends with them. And then we went on to meet another couple in the queue who were from Gloucester area. And the six of us ended up just being in the queue together for the following hours that it took us to get to the Westminster Hall. And we all said how lovely it was to have queued together, and it passed the time, and it made it a bit nicer just being together in that queue. And we swapped telephone numbers, we swapped photos. And yeah, generally the atmosphere was very nice, and beautiful scenery around London as we queued. But obviously towards the end, as we got by the Houses of Parliament, the queues, it wasn't so scenic. We were going in almost like a snake effect, up and down, up and down, up and down, in the queue, prior to getting into the hall. And obviously it was very tight security when we arrived. It was airport style security. We weren't allowed to bring any liquids in with us, or any food or drink. They were very strict with that, understandably. And the effort that had gone into the organisation of the whole thing was fantastic. The police were doing a fantastic job there as well. And I know some of my colleagues are currently up in London, to assist. But generally the atmosphere was lovely. The weather was really good to us. And we weren't sure if we'd be able to end up seeing her. We were told possibly the queue could be up to 30 hours long.
Wow.
But thankfully we were able to see her within 8 hours. And obviously when we got into the hall, seeing her coffin, it was just very, very surreal, extremely emotional. The entire hall was silent as we all walked by and paid our respects. And yeah, I could feel myself getting emotional. It's a very emotional time for everybody in the whole world.
Yeah, very touching.
Yeah, and such a shock, that this has happened so unexpected. And yeah, and there's a lot of, as you're going around London, there's a lot of screens everywhere with pictures of the Queen, people paying their respects. And yeah, it's just nice to be part of the atmosphere here. We're very, very grateful.
I mean, it is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you really are the lucky ones, both of you, because I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but the queue has now actually been paused for at least 6 hours after it's now hit capacity. The wait time is now 14 hours, and the queue is 5 miles long. So I think
it's about 4.2 when we joined it, so we just got in a good time, I think.
Wow.
That's it. I think we queued on the right day, because I know today, and especially over the weekend, I think the queue is going to get a lot longer, obviously, with people travelling into London, being off work. They'll take the opportunity to come into London. And I think there are going to be a lot of disappointed people, because it's going to be impossible to be able to queue for such a long time. And as well as that, being told that the queue's closed, we're incredibly lucky that we were able to queue when we did, and that we got to see the Queen.
I mean, the millions of people have been watching all around the world on this historic event, and seeing the Queen lying in state is being viewed by millions and millions of people, live streamed across the world. Even right now. What was it like actually being there with all of the guards and just seeing that coffin?
Oh, it just didn't. Yeah,
it was just a crazy experience. Just walking through it in the silence, it really gave you time to reflect on it and just kind of feel what everyone else around you is feeling. It's like a group emotion, isn't it? Everyone's feeling the same, and everyone was bowing their heads as you go past and looking back as you're walking out the door. Because you don't get a lot of time in there, but you're just taking as much time as you can to actually, look at her laying there and pay as many respects as you can. And it was great.
Yeah, it seemed just so surreal, just seeing her coffin there, just very, very surreal. And I think everybody was feeling the same. And obviously, as we were coming out of the door at the other side, you could see the emotion in people, having seen her lying there.
What an experience, and I'm sure you feel very privileged and humbled to have been a part of it. We've had many messages of condolence being sent in. Councillor Thomas Tudor's been in touch as well to say, as County Councillor for the Castle Ward of Haverfordwest, I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the royal family on the passing of Queen Elizabeth. She was indeed an inspiration to us all and will be dearly missed. She certainly will. So many messages coming into us, and Cath and Chloe, you've been a part of it. You're there first hand. What's the mood like in London at the moment?
Generally, I think everybody's just trying to get on with their daily lives, but inside, I think everybody's feeling the same. Just this shock and just grief that the whole world is going through. The Queen meant something to everyone, and I think it's just been such a shock to everybody, and everybody's just trying to make the best of it. I think it was nice last night, obviously, following seeing the Queen lying in state. We went straight over to Buckingham Palace, and there was a lot of people obviously taking photographs of the palace, and just walking around outside the palace, just taking in the atmosphere and paying their respects. And we laid some flowers just on the railings at Buckingham Palace as well. And we walked over to Green Park then, because all the flowers get taken over to Green Park once they're laid at Buckingham Palace. And obviously the tributes that were there were thousands and thousands and thousands of flowers.
Incredible amounts of pictures and poems and all sorts of different things that people have put down to pay the respects.
And we haven't seen sights like that since Princess Diana. I mean, it shows you sort of the historic event that it is. Well, that's all we've got time for. I'd love to speak to you more about this, Cath and Chloe, but thanks ever so much for joining us here on the show today and sharing your story with us. And I know you, and millions more will be watching that state funeral on Monday, but incredible that both of you waited 8 hours to see Her Majesty in state, and thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Oh,
Thanks, Toby.
it's been an absolute honour, Toby. It's been fantastic to speak to you about it. Thank you.
Absolute stars. Thank you very much, Cath. Chloe